So, Dr. Reddick here, another 5-minute leadership coaching. Thought today we'd talk about the Peter Principle. Mostly because it came up in a conversation yesterday. I was talking to a government office about doing some leadership coaching there, and how do you identify leaders and promote leaders, and the Peter Principle came up. And most people aren't aware of this, or at least in that group, people weren't aware of it. So I thought this is a worthwhile topic. So what's the Peter Principle? Well, it was originally written as an opinion piece. The Peter Principle is, in a nutshell, promotion to the maximum level of incompetence. So an example is probably more helpful to understand it. So imagine someone's a janitor, and they're a damn good janitor, incredible at what they do, and so eventually they get promoted to lead janitor. Now, because that's a different skill set, they're managing people, maybe setting up schedules and stuff like that. They've been promoted from a job that they were super competent at to a job with a different set of skills that maybe they are less competent at, but they're really hard workers. So they really buckle down, and they push themselves hard, and they end up doing well, doing okay. They're less competent than they were as a janitor, but they manage to do the job and do a decent job. As a matter of fact, they do such a decent job, and they're so loyal to the company, and they've been there a long time, that they get promoted again to, let's say, head of facilities. And now they're not just in charge of a small group of janitors, but they're in charge of all the facilities and the logistics and all the building maintenance stuff. And signing contracts and negotiating with vendors. Well, this is an entirely different skill, again, than what they were doing as lead janitor. So they were extremely competent as a janitor. They get promoted to a job where they're less competent. They get promoted again to a job where they're less competent. These promotions continue to happen until you get to a job that you are no longer competent in. So let's say they get promoted to the head of facilities, and it's such a radically different skill set than they're designed for, that they can do it, but they're not really awesome at it. Then the promotions stop. So you've promoted them to a level where they're incompetent. You've taken someone who was super competent at a job and put them and promoted them to it. And this happens in hierarchical organizations. Originally it was an opinion piece, but this has been researched ad nauseum and shown to be true. So what's the consequence of this? A couple researchers looked at this promotion practice in hierarchical organizations, and looked at the effect of identifying and promoting leaders using the Peter Principle method, the de facto method of identifying and promoting leaders, versus the effectiveness of putting all the names in a bag, in a hat, and randomly picking a name and promoting at pure random. And believe it or not, being completely random was a more effective method of promoting people. That should scare the shit out of you. That means that our current methodology of identifying, developing, and promoting leaders is so broken that it's better to pull the name out of a hat. Think about any other profession. If any other profession in the world, your doctor, you walk into your doctor and you say, "Doc, I'm sick." And the doctor reaches into a bag and says, "Here, take this," and hands you a prescription. And you say, "Wait, I haven't told you what's wrong with me. And he goes, yeah, but you have a better chance of me being right just taking something at random. You'd stop going to that doctor. Yet, this is how we identify and develop leaders in an organization, using this broken ass system. It's one of the reasons I got into leadership development, and particularly wanted to research how do we effectively develop leaders, was the Peter Principle and the statistics around it. Something to think about.